I like this book a lot. It is, however, the most heavy-handed book I've ever read in my entire life.
Let's talk about that. First of all, I just want to say I actually really like this creator, and a lot of the opinions that he shares on this platform I actually agree with, and I think a lot of his content is really entertaining and informative. But I wanted to take this opportunity to address what I think is a pretty common but unfair criticism of Babel by R.F. Kuang. As many of you know, but as a disclaimer, this is my favorite book of all time, and R.F. Kuang is a fantastic author, and she's one of my favorite authors, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. But in a nutshell, what I'm going to say is that I don't actually believe people when they tell me that the reason they don't like Babel, or it's not their favorite book of all time, is because they think it's too heavy-handed. Daniel Green actually mentioned this criticism in a review he recently did of Blood Over Brighthaven, and here's what he said.
Because one of my least favorite things I can see a reviewer do is say because something is blunt, therefore it is bad, specifically when it comes to its messaging, which I entirely disagree with, and especially the modern review space only ever really see put forward, specifically when a material is talking about discrimination specifically. I can list off 1,000 movies and books that are just as blunt in their messaging, but because it is not this hyper talk about topic now, people do not claim it is bad because it's blunt. I can understand being tired of coming across these topics. Sure, we're all allowed to be burnt out on various things. That's fine, but it's just the specific implication that because blunt, therefore bad, that I hardcore disagree with. Wolf of Wall Street, Full Metal Jacket, V for Vendetta, Snowpiercer, Apocalypse Now, all stories that I would consider as blunt as Blood Over Brighthaven is, but no one's turning around to go that's bad because they stated the theme pretty overtly.
I think I have to agree with him. I think if you grill the people who say that they thought Babel was too heavy-handed, you'll find out that a lot of their favorite books, TV shows, and movies were equally, if not more heavy-handed, but they did not make that same criticism for those other pieces of media. I think Daniel Green obviously mentioned a few great examples of this. The one I'll add from personal experience is The Good Place, the TV show. From what I've seen and talked about, it seems like The Good Place is a pretty universally adored show, and I would argue that it's really, really overhanded in the messages it's trying to send, especially in the final episode of the series. But I've never seen anyone make that criticism of that show. I'm not entirely sure what I think is going on when people make this criticism of Babel. I think it might be R.F. Kuang's prose in this book, the fact that it has informative footnotes, which is really unusual for a fictional book. But I just don't think that saying a piece of media is too heavy-handed alone is a valid criticism, and I don't actually think you believe what you're saying when you say that. And the last thing I'll say on this for this video, at least, that I actually don't think Babel is heavy-handed. It's heavy-handed in some themes and messages, that's absolutely true. But in terms of its central themes, in terms of its protagonist, and specifically I'm talking about Robin's internal struggles, I actually don't think it's that heavy-handed, especially in what the ultimate message is. And this is not an original thought, but I saw this in one of my comments. I couldn't find it, so I can't post it here. Someone had said that the reason Babel seems so heavy-handed to so many people because R.F. Kuang did not want her message to get lost in translation. Unintended if you read the book. That struck me as a pretty valid point. The themes of this book are obviously very important to R.F. Kuang and to many readers, the way that she didn't want her book to be misinterpreted. Despite that, previous videos I've made about this book, I've had people comment things that make it abundantly clear that they completely missed the entire point of the book. I think all you have to do is go back to those videos and scroll the comments and you'll see what I mean. But yeah, let me know what you think.